The hard part, I think, when you have broken heart, any type of those, I'll call them a traumatic situations, it goes to your head, not just your heart. And that's the part that's the disconnect, right? Your heart's doing this, your mind's doing this, and they're just not connecting. So once you can kind of get those into alignment, that's when things can start to move for you. And that's always been my struggle. Once I get these two things working together, I can make some progress. And I think, like in this, we're talked a lot about the positive psychology. To always assume it's good for you, no, wrong. When I didn't work for you, it wasn't good for me. Nothing good happened out of it. No, it wasn't good, but it was necessary.
Burning out, but because I was in a negative relationship, although I was giving positive advice and tips, I was, I became numb, and at the end, my relationship broke down. Thankfully, I'm in a much better place now. I feel the help I was giving did help me continue with myself. I didn't, get severely ill or anything, but I do feel it's right. You can't heal someone or help someone fully if you aren't, in the right place yourself. And that's not to say you can't help others while you're on that journey. I think as long as you acknowledge there is something you need to heal, you are getting help, and also don't stop helping others as well, as long as it's in your remit, you're comfortable, and it's safe to do so. And sometimes a knockback makes you realize, whoa, I need help. So for me, it was the knockback, the end of the relationship, which I was in a traumatic one, made me realize I need to heal. And that's where the inner child healing, where I'm learning about that right now, that is something really important.
People go into a broken heart, it's mainly because, as it was discussed before, like they come with the expectation, and then when they're facing reality, they don't change their mindset and try to accept it, but they try to either change the reality that they're facing with what they think is best for them, because they're so stuck with the idea that this is best for me, and if I don't get it this way, then my life will be ruined, and there's a lot of consequences that will happen. So part of it is not accepting what we're facing and dealing as well with so much ambiguity, because we are dealing with ambiguous workforce, ambiguous relationship. And one of the broken heart thing I find when I'm dealing with my own client is the miscommunication that happens from the beginning all the way inside what's happening, whether it's work and stuff, and also at the end. So the miscommunication and the idea of what is I should have, this what lead us to all have different broken hearts.
First step is awareness, but I would also say, like as you mentioned in the beginning, that whatever you resist, it persists. So let out the feeling, whatever you have, whatever. Like for example, when we face any situation, challenging situation or a heartbreaking situation, don't suppress your emotion, and don't avoid it. Like, don't say that, okay, if it was you failed something, you've been rejected, accept it, and then let your emotion flow. Okay, so like for example, if you have a heartbreak, you want to cry it out loud and vent out all those emotions, but don't dwell in those emotion for a long period of time, because yes, once your heart is lighter, you cried enough, then now move on, then you accept the fact that, okay, this is what happened, and then you need to move on.
David, what do you think? Can you heal someone without healing yourself or before healing yourself?
Yes. The problem arises is, how good is your help, and how much are you able to really?
But Tosif said, and Ambreen, you cannot give what you don't have.
Sure I can. Well, let me ask you a question. If I am someone who smokes cigarettes, and I have been smoking cigarettes for 30 years, And now my grandson, who's 10 years old, and he wants to try a cigarette, and I tell him, do not ever try a cigarette. Run away from cigarettes. If someone offers you one, hit them. I'm teaching him not to smoke, yet I'm not healed myself. Why? Because now I'm using an experience that I have, an addiction I have, to teach someone else, not by a positive role model, but by a negative role model. We don't talk about negative role models. It's not popular. You're not going to be able to find them on a Google search. But someone who's doing the opposite of what you're doing, right, can be a very, very strong thing. And the reason I brought up cigarettes is because I have experience with this. Part of my family owned a tobacco farm. I have worked on a tobacco farm. I have seen what goes into a cigarette. You couldn't give me one. You couldn't pay me one to take one because I know how bad they are. So in that way, I now can offer a perspective. And if you need more reinforcement, I can point you to one of my cousins who smoked for 30 years, is now suffering, and they will close the deal on the young child. Because now the child will look at them and say, well, you're telling me this is bad, but now I see that it's bad.
This is a message. Having this mindset that when you're going through the constant pain, having this perspective is enough. That if something is wrong with me, something is not going for me, it is against me, and it is constantly happening. So when you have this mindset that, if whatever is happening for a good reason, and try to address it in the way it is possible for you. And everybody does that. Everybody try to put their best foot forward to minimize the pain, because nobody, as David said, that everybody avoids pain. Nobody loves the pain. It is just like if I am having pain, I will take a painkiller to try to reduce it. But if it is happening for a longer period of time, then I need to think. I need to take a pause, and I need to reflect. Like, how can I minimize the extent of it, or how can I fully address it? As you rightly said, Musa, that if there is a person who is constantly causing me pain, who is draining me out of energy, it is better to end that relationship.
For bringing that topic up on narcissism, that's a whole huge one, and I think it will be excellent because I have been on the receiving end. So yeah, it's a very good one, and I think the insight is because I've endured 17 years. So I've never spoken about this, but you know what? Sometimes you have to face your fears literally and just go and talk about it, because I think it will help. It's not just myself, but every single person on the platform. To everyone, I've learned a lot from all of you. Thank you.